Hey everyone, welcome to LimitLess Radiocast, episode 78, hanging out with the amazing Matt Brown, aka the Immortal, out of Columbus, Ohio, professional UFC fighter. We get into all kinds of amazing background conversation about him, life, training, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We'd also like to thank all our friends who help and support Chad and I do this show each and every week. Magic City Brewing Company, located in Akron, Ohio. Limitless Tape, M&H Beans, Gateway Dental Care, Hoist IV Level Hydration, Lashley Nutrition Supplements and Supplies, Thomas Webb from DeHoff Realtors, Lanky Fight Gear, Red Tail Tattoo Company, Kendry Law LLC, and last but not least, James Klingerman's BJJ Foundation. Check them out for amazing BJJ techniques, help, and instructionals. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Hope everybody out there is doing well. So Chad and I have the great honor and privilege to hang out with Matt Brown, aka the Immortal One, out of Columbus, Ohio. He is actually, I believe he's probably currently at his gym, Immortal MMA, that's in Lewis Center, Ohio. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt. Yeah. And you also hold a rank of brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So Matt, thanks for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate it greatly. He also is currently under UFC fighter as well. So everyone out there, like, I'm going to tell you all this stuff. You know a lot about Matt, and, you know, you can Google and all that stuff, and we'll get into it. But anyway, Matt, what's up, brother?
Oh, man. It's a beautiful day outside.
You trained today?
I'm a little injured right now, but
okay.
So I didn't train, but I helped train some others. I'm healthy enough to help others, man. That's what I love doing.
Yeah, that's when was that a switch for you? Like coaching people? I always talk about it being older in age, like as I did martial arts when I was younger, and Chad has talked about it in the past. I've done a lot of coaching in sports and whatnot. And it just seems like a different feeling, like when you coach people versus like when you do it yourself.
Yeah. I think it's when I had kids, man, and they started getting old enough to move around and get on the mats. I think that was probably what flipped the switch for me. And I just found the fulfillment that I get from watching them do something that I taught them and go out there and be successful. And that sparkle in their eye, man, at the end of a grappling tournament, and when they're standing up on the podium with a medal from things that I taught them. Man, I don't think there's a feeling in the world that can replace that.
Yeah, for sure. So my youngest son, he's playing his first year of football right now. He just turned 9, and he had an amazing game Monday night to where, I mean, he got MVP of the game, whatever. He had like all the flag polling because it's padded flag. But it was hilarious because I was like, he's getting it. Like and I play football, so I'm not hard on him, but hard enough to where it's like a direction. But to see that twinkle in his eye when he was like, Dad, I got after it today. And I was like, that's what football is, my man. So I feel you. Like, it's just different. Like, you tell people, like, teaching and training someone and then seeing them accomplish something like that, and they know, and then you see it as well. It's a different feeling.
Yeah. And I coached football, flag football 1 year.
Yeah.
And I know little to nothing about football, especially before I coached flag. They kind of roped me into it, last minute. They're like, hey, if we don't get a coach in the next hour, we're not going to be able to have a season. I said, all right, well, I guess I'll freaking do it, and ended up doing it and learned a lot about football. But with all due respect to football, when I see them do that on the mats, though, and it's just them all alone in front of a bunch of friends and family, and they are successful. I think it's just a different feeling, man. I mean, like I said, I love football and have all the respect in the world for it. But when the kid's out there all by himself, he shows the balls to go out there by himself,
for sure,
and battle against another kid trying to do the exact same thing to him that he's trying to do to him. Man, that's a beautiful thing.
I think they learn true adversity, which is awesome at a young age, like single-handedly, you know what I mean? Like wrestling, grappling, anything that's a one-on-one competition, like, because you don't have teammates. And I agree with you. Like, you can't, if you have a team, let's be honest, you're not like even if you're the best player in a team, you couldn't just beat everybody on your own if it's a team effort type deal, but like when you're on,
I've never seen a football team, kids, a soccer team, baseball of kids lose and walk off bawling their eyes out.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Every grappling tournament, wrestling tournament I go to, the first few times a kid loses, they are bawling their eyes out.
I was going to bring that up. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. It is terrible. It's like, I mean, and you feel bad, right? You feel like you're a failure, and you're worried about your kid. But I've also never seen a kid quit after that. I'm sure it happens, right? But mine certainly didn't. And that right there, as a matter of fact, the first one wrestling tournament they ever did, it was kind of my fault. I accidentally signed them up. This is when we lived in Colorado, and I signed them up for the state tournament. And they'd actually hadn't even wrestled yet. Like, they were just saying they wanted to do the tournament. Anyway, they go out and they're going against kids that, had 100 matches that season. And, so they didn't have a chance. But when we were in the car driving home, I was like, hey, we'll go get you guys some ice cream. Sorry, it's kind of my fault, kind of apologize. And they're like, well, Dad, we just want to know when we're going to do it again. And when I heard that, I was like proud. I was more proud of my kids than anything else they've ever done. So
that's huge for sure.
That's what turned me on to helping coaching others, especially kids. Like adults are cool, but helping kids is what really touches the heart.
Yeah, you can build that foundation versus like so many. I don't want to say us. Like I don't want to group a bunch of people, but there's a ton of people that want the ceiling right away, right out of the gate. They don't want that hard in the dark, build a great platform, whatever have you, floor. They just want the ceiling right away. And honestly, in team sports, young age, I see it all the time. Like it's a constant, like, oh, we're going to put all the best kids on the team, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, really? Like I wrestled as well. And I appreciate greatly, like, I think back at that time as well. And, getting on the mat, obviously I'm a late starter in BJJ, and even overcoming that, or even still doing that, showing up every day. It's like, this is,
I was going to say, I think we, you talk about wanting the ceiling with kids. I think we all want the ceiling right away, right? How many times have you been in jiu-jitsu and a 6-month in white belt's like, man, I suck at this. Why am I not better? You constantly want that. Yeah. I mean, everybody.
That was me.
Yeah. I don't care what rank you are, you still want that ceiling no matter where you're at, that's just, I think if you're a competitive person too, it's even more like, right. Why am I not beating that guy or whatever?
Sure.
Yeah. And with the kids, I think for me, the biggest thing that I found, especially owning a gym, I'll give you an example of one kid. He came in, and I'll never forget this. He was troubled, had problems at home, had problems at school. He was getting bullied, getting pushed around. The kid, walked in, wouldn't look at me in the eyes, head down, got him into class, started training, just nervous, shy, scared of everything. I was out for training camp for about a month, come back, and I see this same kid again. And this time he's puffing his chest out. He's fist bumping me, looking me in the eyes, saying, yes, sir, no, sir. And that specific kid, that particular kid, sparked something in me where I just realized, like, I literally just created a fork in this kid's road in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was going down this path, and who knows, maybe something else would have changed it. But, there was a certain path he was going down. When he stepped into my gym, that fork was created. And now his entire life, until the day he dies, is going to be different. And to make that kind of impact makes all the struggle, all the grinding, all the hassles with employees and,
sure, right,
mats and all this shit makes it all fucking worth it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is the quintessential ideal want out of a coach, owner of an academy, gym, whatever. Like I would I know not everybody, but right there, like you said, Matt, that kid's life's changed forever, no matter what. Like, you try to think back when you grew up and you like think of those moments, what you had with people, and it's like, oh, that moment changed my life, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's
and you know
awesome,
what,
man.
I think that's probably what probably hit me a little bit harder, is I never had that moment. I wanted to do martial arts since I was a little kid.
Sure.
I remember begging my parents. But I grew up in a dinky little town, population of 200. The closest grocery store was 20 minutes away. The closest martial arts, I never even heard of a martial arts studio being around. But probably, in retrospect, I can look now and say the closest one was probably 30, 45 minutes away. And it would have been, a generic karate studio, maybe turn me off to martial arts, if anything. Or, maybe not, but regardless. So knowing that, like, I never got that and I went down the wrong path, I'm sure, most of the people listening probably, know my story and not, look on Wikipedia or whatever, but it sent me down the wrong path. So I never had that opportunity. The fact that I can give that opportunity to another kid, and hopefully the fork that I created in his life takes him down the better path. Again, that strikes a nerve within me, man. Just wants to almost brings a tear to my eye.
Oh, I'm sure.
It should. Yeah, that's big.
And like Chad, I know you know Matt's background, and obviously, and I know your background, Matt, and I know you grew up rough, man. Like, it was hard, but to see what you're doing now, like taking those kids, it's like you're the stop in the middle of them maybe going down those paths. You're stopping that, and that's, I mean, right there is just like I said earlier. There's no feeling, like no one can experience that feeling unless you experience live and for yourself. Anyone
Absolutely.
out there that's listening, like, if you have an opportunity to change someone's life, don't hesitate to do it and be proud of it, and don't quit on it, because that's, I mean, not to say that's what you're talking about, Matt, but I mean, relating to that, I grew up really rough. I had a lot of different, people that kind of stopped me in certain paths where I didn't do certain things. Not that I was ever the greatest person ever growing up, but I learned a lot, obviously, when I got older, and it was like, oh yeah, stop being a stupid knucklehead. And
For sure. And we do see that in adults too. I don't want to take away from where we're able to do that with adults. I don't see it nearly as commonly. Adults, I feel like, are a lot of them are kind of already on whatever path they're on, and you're probably not changing it. Their reasons for being in here are very all over the place. But with that said, it reminds me of when COVID happened and they tried to shut us down. Mm-hmm. I shut down for 1 week, and within that week, I had at least 3 people call me and say, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do without your gym. Like, that's what keeps my mental health. That's what keeps me sane. That's what keeps me alive. I mean, one kid in particular tried to commit suicide.
Oh, man.
Like, within a fucking week. And so the second week that we were supposed to be shut down, I said, I'm not shutting down. You guys are going to have to come in, and you're going to have to drag me out of here with, your handcuffs or whatever the fuck kind of stupid shit you want to do. I said, I'm not shutting down. Like, this is a matter of life and death at this point. So you want to say we're not essential, you can fuck off. So it does happen with adults too. Sure. My point that I'm getting at.
It's amazing. Like, people, we say this all the time. So look, it does take different people to do this on a regular, like combat sports, fighting, obviously, Matt, like, not everyone can be a fighter, and it does take something different inside a person to constantly want to get back in the cage and fight people, or get on the mats and train in jujitsu or wrestle, or anything that's physical, like where you're an adult and you're doing this daily. But no one understands outside of that, like, how much mental this is for people. Like, healthy. It's healthy for people, even though people are like, oh, you're doing this and this, why would you do it? It's like, you have no idea. Like, there's a ton of health benefits to this, not just physically. It's a mental thing for people, like what you're saying. Shut down. I've heard so many stories. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I hear it all the time. I say, I don't know how you do what you do. And I'm like, and I just look at them like, I don't know how the fuck you do what you do. Like, what are you talking about? You don't just gotta do what I do. Like, I'm living the fucking greatest life you can imagine. You know, most of these people that are saying that stuff are like sitting in an office 8 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't see what you do. Imagine doing what I do. Like your life is miserable, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Sure.
Yeah. And then they go home and sit more. Right.
Right. Yeah. Then they don't do anything.
People aren't active. You know, it's so crazy. Like, so I grew up, you know, in the 80s and did karate back in the day because that's all there was and stuff. And it took me a long time to find jujitsu in the area. And I didn't start to jujitsu until I was 29, you know? And I remember family members are like, you're still doing that stuff? I'm like, man, it's just, once it bites you, I don't care when, what age, man, it's hard not to do it. I can't imagine. I was just joking with I just turned 47 in September. And I was joking with one of the older guys. I'm like, I'm worried that when I can't do jujitsu, you know, when you do get to that age, because right now it makes me feel good. When I'm on vacation for a week and I don't train, I feel stiff and like lethargic and my hands hurt, my knees ache. But when I'm training, of course, we have our little, you know, bumps and bruises that are always going to hurt. But man, I'm not looking forward to when we can't.
I don't know if you guys seen that post that I made yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
We were going to bring that up.
This is exactly what I'm talking about with that post. So I've been injured the last week. I hurt my back and I couldn't even get out of bed for like 3 or 4 days.
Man. Okay.
It was really, really bad. So that's why I had to make that post for myself, because like I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm going fucking nuts, bro. Like,
not being able to do stuff or like, your normal routine. Yeah.
And I'm not, well, exactly what we're talking about. You know, we come in to beat that inner bitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. Like, we're breaking that motherfucker down. We have to starve him. We have to keep him starved. If he gets fed at all, he's going to take us over. We have those demons. Most of us do. With some people, you know, maybe they don't, or maybe they are able to deal with it in other ways, whatever. But this is our system of dealing with it. It's certainly mine. And I was feeling it. I was like, it crossed my mind to just go pick up the bottle or fucking, you know, it would be nothing for me to go get prescribed some fucking Percocets or whatever with the injuries. You know, like, it would be, this is all easy stuff. And it's like, dude, that sounds fucking great. But
it's easy way out.
So I literally, it's funny that I posted that because I actually wrote that to myself. And then I was like, you know what, this will make a good post to promote the ebook that I'm working on.
So good. Yeah. No, it's perfect. It's exactly, Chad shared it with me today. I actually read it when you posted it. I read it several times because the lividity and truth to it is pure to where everyone needed to see it, man. Like, you're 100% right, Matt. Everyone needed to see it. I know that you wrote it for yourself and it's awesome, but it's like, okay, people need to see that because it's truth. We fight constantly. Everyone's going to be like, oh, I don't deal with that. You're lying. Like, just stop lying to yourself, man. You're dealing with stuff. Everyone is dealing with some kind of demons inside themselves in terms of keeping them. They want to do that. They want to follow that demon in them versus fighting it. Most of us, all of us, I know people out there like, I don't deal with that. Well, yeah, you do. You're lying to yourself, man. Because my wife will be like, you need to go to the gym. You need to go run. You need to do something. Because she knows, like, I get irritable and I've done it for so long. And I realized years and years ago, like, oh, this is what I have to do all the time to keep them in check. I have to push myself. I have to grind. I have to do this. So when I read that, I was like, yes, right here. About to share this to everybody. I'm like, hey, because you need to read this.
And that one for me, it was hard to share because I was, for me, it was very personal. Like I said, I wrote it to myself. I was sitting there bored. Today was the first day I actually got back into the gym, and I was like, dude, it was tough to share because I didn't really want to. You know, it wasn't for everyone.
Sure.
But then I thought, you know what? For wanting to promote my ebook, which is cool. But also getting that feedback when people are like, dude, I fucking needed this, man. And or hearing you say that, you know, like, dude, like, you hit it spot on exactly what I was feeling. That's the beauty of social media. We have to, I try to embrace what social media can be.
Yeah, for sure.
And, sort of like the whole be the change you want to see in the world. Like, this is what it can be. It can be a positive thing, an outlet, sort of an online diary in some aspects. Or it can be a, negative thing. You can follow porn stars and fucking,
right.
Pauline and, eat fucking ice cream all day. You know what I mean? Like, you can follow whoever you want, which that freedom makes everything complicated. But I'm a big believer in freedom. So
sure.
Which,
yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, social media, it's great and it sucks at the same time because of that, because people are like ignorant, they're idiots.
Well, that's it. It wouldn't be so great if it couldn't suck as bad as it can.
Right.
That's what makes it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah.
It has to have that dichotomy. If it doesn't have the ability to suck, then it can't be that great. And that's what, certain social media companies or certain powers that be are going to want to take away. Like, we don't want it to be bad and we don't want it to be great. That it's got to stay right here where we want it. But no, it needs to have both.
Yeah. It needs to have the broad spectrum of both, because you can't have, it's not worth my time to read it if it's that controlling lane. That's just center. I need my balance, because I can mentally distinguish between the good and the bad, obviously, too. Older in age, experience, all that kind of stuff. Being able to talk about it or whatever. Even my kids, like they're not on social media, but I can talk about subjects. They see it in school, they see it on the news. It's like all that. I have a 15-year-old. He asks me all kinds of questions about crazy stuff that's happening all the time. We talk about it. Like, I'm open and honest with him. I just won't hide that stuff. Like, it's just not worth it to me. And go ahead, Chad. You gonna say something?
No, yeah, I was just gonna go back to we talking about what we need in that release, and that's what we do. Is jujitsu, kickboxing. We need that. Whatever that is that we get out of it. But I think we don't talk about the like-minded people that we're around as much, right? Like, just being around those people. Like I tell people that they're hurt. We just had one of my purple belts, Chase, too, had shoulder surgery. And I'm like, man, I still want you to come to the gym. I know you can't train, but keep that routine and just come in and hang out with everybody, right? I think that's just as big sometimes as being around those like-minded people that want to do what you do and want your success and all that. I
agree. And you know what? I've learned as much being injured and watching as I have being in the trenches. Yeah. And a lot of that comes from, because we're in the trenches so much, at least me and probably you guys, so much that you miss what you see when you take a step back. It's good to take a step back.
Sure.
See the big picture and say, oh shit, I'm doing that same thing he's doing. That's why it's not working.
Right.
When in the trenches, you don't always notice that. You just keep going, like, why isn't it working? God damn it.
Just get madder and madder and push yourself harder and harder.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us, to be successful, that we have that mentality of, we'll push through anything. And, if it don't work, we're going to fucking try it again,
Yeah. It is crazy, though, in the combat world of this, you do find that more commonplace. At least for me, I did. Like, I didn't expect that. When I started jujitsu, I was like, I had no idea. I was like, oh, it's another training thing I want to keep doing. Like, I want to try this. And then it was like, oh, these guys are all very similar to like what I got going on in my head and outside my head.
Yeah. So, you literally find your people. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I don't have any other friends now.
I don't have any friends that don't train. Right. Like,
I don't want any friends that don't train. I tell about everybody. I mean, I do have friends that don't train, but there's a different bond that's created when we bleed and sweat together and we're working toward a common goal.
Yeah.
Just a different bond that can't be created any other way on this planet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that's probably why I've always leaned more towards Muay Thai. Those were more my kind of people,
Sure.
Is great. I love them all. But there's certainly a different type of person that leans towards jiu-jitsu rather than kickboxing, Muay Thai.
Sure. Definitely. Did you did you imagine owning your own academy? At what point? Like,
I thought about it for a long time. It's always been a goal of mine. I come from an entrepreneurial family.
Okay.
My dad owned a business. He was a machinist. My uncle owns a welding shop. My other uncle was did stuff for horses.
Nice. Okay.
Both of my brothers are entrepreneurial. My one brother is a graphic motion artist. He's done stuff on like Netflix and
Very cool.
Toyota, big things. He lived out in Hollywood for a while. My other brother's a lawyer. So we have a, huge variation with our personalities there. We have a lawyer, an artist, and a fighter. So
sure. It's a great mix.
Yeah.
No, honestly, it is, because I'm sure you guys can network off of each other, both mentally and, everything else. It's probably good to be around and just kind of.
Yeah, I think they provide me a lot of value, and I don't provide them much. Because they don't train or anything. So I'm like, well, that's about all I can give to you, buddy. But yeah, I just naturally come from that entrepreneurial mindset. We come from the mindset of being from the small town country.
Sure.
That mindset where, you get what you put in, and the work ethic was driven into us from a very young age. And when you put in that kind of work ethic, you want to reap the benefits of your wins and or your losses, right? Like you don't want to put in that work and then someone else get all the benefit out of it. So
right.
I think we all, most entrepreneurs understand that, and that's what we desire as entrepreneurs, right? I want to win or lose on my account.
Sure. Right.
And I want to know that I won or lost because of me.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, and I read Extreme Ownership not too long ago.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, and that's like the whole purpose of the book, right? Like you take ownership of every single thing you do, and and that's a entrepreneurial mind right there. Yeah. So I've wanted to own a gym for a long time, and it was just this one just happened. All the pieces just fell into place, right time.
Good, nice. And you've been 2014? Is that when you opened gym, or 2018? 2018. That's right.
End of 2018. So really 2019.
Yeah. Man, that was, So you were, open for a year or so before AKA pandemic? Whatever we're calling it these days. I'm not quite sure, but
whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I don't really call it much of anything. Right.
Yeah.
I thought we had a term for that before. It's called flu season.
Yeah. Right.
But
go ahead.
It was that happened pretty early on. Fortunately, I was blessed with great members. We were profiting at the time, so we were okay. But
good.
No one, we didn't lose a single membership the whole time.
That's awesome.
And there was a couple people that had a hard time with their memberships, but other members stepped up and paid those memberships.
Nice.
I had members call me and say that if I can't afford the rent, they'll pay the fucking rent for me. I mean, I didn't need a single thing, never asked for a thing, but these people stepped up, and that's something I've tried to embed in the culture since day one. Is like, this is your gym. I'm just operating it. But this is yours. Take care of it like it's your home. And so so I think that's a thing most gym owners probably do, but I don't know if you guys do it. That's sort of it's a powerful thing in my opinion.
I think it is, and again, it alludes back to if people are willing to come into the gym and you're providing a space for them, they know what you've already done. You've already put in a ton of work. You're not just like a guy that's never done this before and you're just opening up academy and you're like, hey, come here and learn some stuff. You know what I mean? Trying to pay a fee and whatnot. You're in those trenches. You've lived in those trenches. And I think so many academy owners do live in those trenches. So that community of like, hey man, you have this academy, this gym, if you can't do anything, like, let me know. I'll come do whatever. I'll help you out. Like and that, like in our world of being aggressive, combating, whatever, fighting basically with everybody as friends. But, I think that's just, there's a bond there. Like we said earlier, like there's just a different bond there to where people will step up and do that are truly want that.
Yeah, I think it is what Matt said. It is a culture and an atmosphere that you create.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That reciprocates that, right? Like if it's, it's all about putting that karma out and being a good person too,
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Like if you go to Lifetime Fitness, for instance, no one's walking there feeling like it's their gym.
Right.
No,
yeah,
they don't
right.
care.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's, the martial arts, particularly like the smaller business martial arts, I think it's important to put that out there. And when people feel included and they feel like they are truly a part of something that's meaningful, it really helps improve everybody's life, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Make them feel, it's kind of weird, I think. And Terry's, newer at the gym, obviously, in the last couple of years, but like at the end of every class or at the end of the night, like I have the members help me clean the gym, right? It was something that you came up in Ohio MMA. I don't know if you remember Steve Heineman, worked for the NAAFS, and that's who I came up under in martial arts for a long time. And something he always did, he had everybody help clean the gym to make it kind of feel like part of them, right? And sometimes newer members are like, "You want me to mop the mats?" Like they don't get it, But I think doing that kind of brings people together too. And
Yeah, I looked at it like it's a privilege for me. I was like, oh, I'll do it. Like, I was like, I'll do it. Like, it's a privilege for me to be here. Like, I'm welcome into this. Like, I didn't even think about like paying a fee. It was never about that. Like for me mentally, it was just like, no, I want to be here and you're making me feel like I belong here. And that's huge for me. So I'll do whatever you need me to do because it's a privilege to be able to have an opportunity and a location. And then it became the brotherhood, a freaking podcast.
And when you do that also, at the end of class, like, hey guys, we're cleaning the mats tonight or whatever. And you start separating also who's there for what.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
You recognize that some guys, you get what I'm saying.
I say, yeah, I get what you're saying for sure.
Some in and out, just in and out and do the thing. And it's fine. I get it. And I want you there. Like if you're the in and out person, like I still want you there. I still want you training. I'm not trying to say anything bad about you, but there is going to be people that like, I don't want to leave. I want to hang out. I want to stick around. Like I want to train, talk, whatever. Like I want to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Sometimes those are the best nights of training is after training, right? When you're cleaning up or talking to your buddies. And there's nights where I've left the gym way too late. Like, I'm like, I got to get home, man.
That's the other problem too.
Yeah.
No, I've always said that's probably the biggest thing that, especially, being injured or whenever I'm too old to train. But I think that's what I'll miss the most is bleeding and sweating with my best friends in the world, and then sitting down and having conversations with them after. And we did a thing for a little while. We haven't been doing it lately because the guy running it ran short on time. But we was doing a church session on Sunday. He's a faith-based person. I'm not really religious like anything, but I still love coming to the class. And what we would do is we just have an open roll, and we would train our balls off and push each other. And then we'd sit down and have a little sermon.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not religious at all, but have that little time of bonding, regardless of whether it's faith-based or just talking and but having it a little more formal. It was such an amazing thing, man. And I think everything hits a little deeper right then, right after you got the endorphins up and you got the training out. And you beat the shit out of each other. Like,
right? Exactly.
That guy teaching the sermon to you was just trying to break your arm a minute ago.
Right.
Or at least make you tap before he breaks your arm. But
Right.
And then, but there's still that brotherhood, that love is still there. You know what I mean? Like,
more brotherhood.
I was going to say it's even deeper. It's just like, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain to people. Like you get it. We get it. Like, we're always talking about it. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be experienced to understand it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Man, you've been a pro since 2004. Did you ever imagine that MMA would be as big as it is now?
I guess not, because it's pretty freaking big now. But
I know you like, and you said like people can go and read about you and whatnot or whatever. You fought a ton right out of the gate. Like I know you did. Like instantly, you pretty much were like, "Hey, fight, and then fight again, and then just keep fighting. So I think it's good. Like you have a great perspective.
So people ask me, did you expect to be in the UFC this long, or still doing, all these kind of questions, like kind of like that. And when I started doing this, it was I never had any of those kind of thoughts. My only thought was the analogy I use: I married this sport. Sure. I married it, and I'm a faithful spouse. Like that's all there is to it. I said, I'm doing this till the day I die. I never thought about it being big. I never thought about being famous, making a living at it.
You loved it for the love of it. That's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? Like,
I said I married the sport, and makes relationships tough because I'm like, I'm already married, so.
Right.
I tell them that when we get to a serious relationship. Fortunately, I have a great significant fiance now that is very understanding, and I tell her, look, it's first. Like, there's a time and a place, but
sure.
But every day, like when I wake up, my thought is going to be on training. It's not going to be on you.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure.
Like,
and this is,
you gotta go find you some IT dork or something.
Yeah. And this is your life. This is what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I think we had George Gergel, which, Matt, we had him on the show, and he kind of alluded that too. Like, guys who fight in martial arts, mixed martial arts, particularly, that is their life, and it has to be. And then those of you who own academies, gyms, that's even more pressure and more stuff on top of that. So I understand that. I mean, this is your life, man. This is what you've done for so long. That's obviously it's a huge accomplishment to be fighting in a cage as long as you have been. And it's a great accomplishment. Like, I love it just because I'm like, hey, see, it's proof you can still do this when you're in your 40s. Like, not me doing what Matt does by no means at all. Just rolling in jiu-jitsu for me, but to watch Matt, it's an inspiration for me. Cause I always think, yeah, man, like you can do this. Like, you don't have to quit unless your body breaks down on you. Obviously, which is inevitable for most of us, especially those who.
Oh, you also learn. You get a little smarter and wiser too. I'm
right,
sure,
exactly.
I'm sure you don't spar like you did when you were started, Matt. I'm sure you had some gym wars back in the day, and that's just what you did, right? Like it was all about sparring. And now, I don't. How often do you go? Do you go hard spar ever anymore?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, not a lot. And honestly, part of it, I never sparred. After, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of doing this, I probably never sparred really, really hard.
Good. That's good.
A lot of guys think that I spar hard, but usually because I'm winning. But I didn't really have to go hard. It's pretty rare that I would find guys that would push me where I had to go.
Really you had hard. To. I got you. Okay. Yeah.
I see.
That was kind of the big thing. I'll find guys occasionally now, and what I'll do now when I go into what we call harder sparring is I'll just put myself at a deficit, and I'll say like, I'm not going to throw a jab this round, so I'm not going to be able to set that up. I'm not going to throw. I'm only going to throw leg kicks, or work on more specific things. But when I started, you're right. I mean, I sparred hard every day. I thought. My mentality was, well, if I'm going to go run a marathon, what do? I go run marathons to practice. So if I'm going to go fight, what do? I need to go fight.
Right.
So I would go into the gym and look for someone to fight.
Yeah.
And, I tell all my fighters that are here now, I said, look, I don't want who Matt Brown was back then in my gym.
Yeah.
I remember going to some gyms and we'd be warming up and I'd walk over and, stare down guys, try to get them fired up so they would fight me, push people. I'd go, the bell would ring, I'd just keep going. I was that guy, I would look for the toughest guy and go as hard as I could. And, I would try to knock people out. I would try to finish them in the training. I said, I don't want that guy. I've learned my lessons.
Sure.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
You can teach.
It also helped me be who I was too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't be who you were. You probably wouldn't be where you are if you didn't do that. You know what I mean? But like Chad and I talk about this sometimes, like the evolution of a professional grappler, and the same thing with an MMA fighter. It's different now versus when you first started. Like you said, you were going hard, you were grinding. Not that fighters aren't grinding now, but the training is different. Obviously, technology is different. You're not teaching or coaching young fighters to do what you did. That's so changed. It's so evolved. And I think it's taken the sport to a different level to where people might be able to last even longer in it, depending on, like, I'm not in charge of whoever's, Dana is doing all that stuff and all that, whatever. But like, we'll see where it's going, but it seems like it's just skyrocketed over the last.
Yeah. I always say that the evolution of all of MMA, jiu-jitsu, all of the combat sports has been huge over the last 20 years. Right. But I think we've evolved as coaches and instructors even more, that we take care of our people now, right? When a new guy comes into my class, if he wants to roll that first night, it's like, man, if something taps or something hurts, make sure you tap, yell, do something. My first class, nobody told me that. I got heel hooked my first class, like I didn't know. I'm like, but I think we've learned to take care of our people even more. And a lot of that's a business move, right? If you want to stay in business, you have to, dance that line too. But I think that's the biggest evolution we've had.
I think martial arts have evolved more in the last 20 years than the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
We know what works now, right? And, for me personally, what I learned was just the difference between training and fighting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I used to go to gyms and I wanted to fight, and we were just wearing shin guards and boxing gloves and a mouthpiece to fight. Now I understand what the difference is between training and fighting. But now I train to get better. And there's been instances, I used to be a hothead, and there's instances where guys would go too hard with me, and I would take my gloves off and I said, look, if you want to fight, we're not wearing gloves, and we'll go out in the parking lot and we'll fight.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to train, I'll keep the gloves on and we can sit here and work together and make each other better. If you want to fight, it's not, I'll bite your fucking face, bro. Like I'm not,
right. You see that now? Do you ever get guys that come in and they're just, I won't say hot headed, but let's be honest. I mean, some guys come in with ego, hot,
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm kind of at the point now where, and there's so few guys that give me those kind of challenges where I can pretty much easily just dispatch them without even hurting them.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if a guy is good enough to be able to go with me to that level, then he's probably knows how to train anyway.
So you don't have to worry about, yeah, that makes sense.
It's pretty rare these days. And a lot of times you kind of know what you're getting into before also.
Sure. It's gotta be better than before. Cause I imagine like, it had to have been hard before, right? Like there was a lot of people probably walking indoors, and Chad, and I know you and I have talked about that, like guys just wanting to come in. And I know we talk about academy storming and dojo storming and all this crap, but like I see where we are now, obviously in combat sports, martial arts versus where you guys have started. The ego has gotten better than like what you're alluding to, Matt, where people don't walk in so much like, hey, I'm going to beat everybody here. And I mean, maybe they do internally. They just don't show it externally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I also make sure that if everything is kind of said beforehand, I think that's one of the things that's missing a lot is like guys, fighters aren't naturally very communicative. And I just communicate what we're doing and what I want out of it. You know what I mean? Rather than just kind of, we're sparring today. Okay, well, let's see what happens. And I'll go at your pace or whatever. I just tell them, look, this is what I'm trying to get out of it. And if you work with me on it, then we can do this regularly. If you don't work with me on it, then, I'm gonna fuck you up, bro.
I can imagine. Which, hey, let's be honest, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's good for the person because you've done it. It'd be different if you just like walked in and you were just someone else. You know what I mean? Which is like you have a lot of time.
There are those those instances of guys where you kind of do have to let them know straight out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy,
Yeah.
not
Right.
at the top, buddy.
Right.
Those things do happen, but again, it's just pretty rare that I have a guy that is at that level, and if they are at that level, then they probably know how to train already anyway.
Sure, that's good. I'm glad.
Most guys, once you get to like a certain level, like you're not trying to go in and kill yourself every day. Like that you get better. You know that you need to train, and that's one of the things I've focused on probably more in the last couple of years is doing a lot of that boring shit that is literally just boring. And if you think about like say football players, for instance, right? Like they do boring stuff all day. They walk through plays, they film study, and I do a lot more of that these days where you're just walking through, going over a technique until it's clean and over again. And that's why I call it just walk through,
Yeah. Yep.
Don't have to have pads and mouthpieces, everything. Like just walk through it and just feel it. And then when you go live, it'll just come natural.
Yeah, because you already know it. Like it's there. It's the muscle memories built into you, especially at the time. Obviously, it's not right away. It's that training and that putting through. When did you add video training at all, like film study and all that throughout your career?
Yeah, I've always done that.
Have you always done that? Okay.
Yeah. For a long time there, when I was kind of at the peak of my career, top 5 and stuff, I would film almost every session, and I would sit down after the session, take notes and watch it and try to make it a little bit better for the next time.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just to me, it's just a part of being a professional. This is
right. Exactly.
This is one of the differences, in my opinion, between like a real professional and a guy who gets paid to fight. And there's a lot of guys that get paid to fight under a pro banner, but they're not living like professionals. And
sure.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I used to do with film study. And I'd write down all my food. I would write down the volume of training I'm doing through the week, and would check my HRV and grip tests, tons of things to see where my body's at in recovery. And and I built a pretty good system for it that'll probably be a lot more beneficial for the guys that I'm coaching than it was for me, because I was kind of learning as I was doing it, because there wasn't coaches out there promoting that stuff or teaching that stuff.
No, not at all.
And I still rarely see any.
It's fascinating to me. Like I love that, because there are guys like yourself who started when, let's be honest, I mean, MMA was rising, but it wasn't obviously where it is now. UFC wasn't where it is now, or any other, like nowhere close. No one probably even thought it was going to be at that point in time. You were fighting for the reasons that you were fighting, like we said earlier in the show. But you've learned all that. Like for you to break this down, it's like, no man, like it's like on-job training. This guy is on-job training, and he's now going to teach everyone under him that's willing to come to you and learn it, which is fascinating to me. It's like, we don't get that enough. We get, again, it's so much out of the gate. Like kids from college, instantly they get a high paying job or whatever. And it's like, oh, they're great. And it's like, they have no experience at all. And I want them to get experience, but geez, like, it's crazy, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Is some of the stuff going to be in your ebook? Like this breakdown of that, or what's the ebook all about?
This ebook, I think the first one, me and my strength and conditioning coach Dustin are doing, and it's just going to be a strength and conditioning for specific to MMA. So I don't think we'll probably get into all those weeds. And we have plans to write many ebooks. So and I'll do eventually YouTube and everything, podcast, whatever, knowledge out there and promote my brand and build on things. But I do think that particular part like running my own business has taught me a lot of this stuff too. This is how you run a business, right? Like you set a goal, you look to you put in the action to attain the goal, and then you measure whether you hit the goal, and then you start back over and repeat that process, right? And it's something I just see so rarely with fighters and martial artists. It's all about and it's difficult, I think, for people to see, because you can come in the gym every day and do nothing else, just get in the gym for, hour or 2 hours a day, whatever. And you can improve and progress and evolve. You can do nothing else. And that's where I think people get a little bit mixed up with things, because yes, you are improving, you're getting better, and you're beating better and better guys. But how much more faster can you progress, and how much more detailed and nuanced can you be to progress even higher, to reach your true full potential by adding in a lot of very simple things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
People,
very meaningful things, not easy things.
Sure.
That's like all martial arts. You guys do jujitsu, every technique you do is fucking simple, right? Like you go ask Dixon Gracie, like, well, dude, I can't figure out this little spot. He'll give you the simplest answer ever. That doesn't make it easy, though.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the most hardest thing ever to do, but it's a very, very simple answer. Like, just put your hand right here. Oh, well, that was easy or simple. It was.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. I heard an interview. This is years ago with Roger Gracie. He was arguably one of the best ever, right? He said, jiu-jitsu is easy. We make it hard. That's so true, right? Like, you're over analyzing everything.
Yeah, I would argue with him. It's simple, but not easy.
But not, simple. Right. Maybe that's, it's a better way.
It's not easy.
But it's very simple, like it's for like you go on pass guard, what do you have to do? You have to walk around the legs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Very simple, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Not easy.
Because the other guy's not going to let you do. Well, let's say most people won't let you do that. Me, on the other hand, I probably will let you do that.
That's one of the first things I tell like brand new people that don't know how to roll yet. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, just get around their legs. That's all I want you to do this round. Just get around the legs. That's it. Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
They're running in circles for like an hour.
Yeah, just run in circles.
And the guy at the bottom's like Toriando constantly around like in a circle. Yeah, that's all right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Great.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because so you tell them that on day one, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'll tell a lot of kids on day one. And sometimes I'll tell them, like, I only want you to get to the mount or take the back, right? Something like that, right? But either way, it's funny because that's what we tell them on day one. And then they could be competing in Abu Dhabi at the ADCCs, and you're going to tell them the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Right? You're going to be like, you have to pass this guy's guard.
Yeah.
So he has the exact same objective that he had the first
day one.
day.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I say it's simple. It's just not easy.
Just not
easy. Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, it's a great way to look at it. It's the truthful way to look at it because, it is that very much. Like I can't say it any easier than that.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of the things that probably the best advice I think I give day one people now, a lot of times I'll give them little goals like that. But one of the best things is whatever he wants to do, don't let him do it.
Yeah.
How many guys do you see on day one and like they'll just get swept and they'll just let them sweep them, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, look, all you have to do is like, he wants you to go this way. Don't let him do that.
Yeah.
Right. Just don't stop it.
And again, when you get to the highest level, it's the exact same thing. He's going to want to do something. Don't let him do it. Now, how you don't let him do it is a whole nother
thing.
Right?
Sure. Was there did that happen to you? Like getting into the cage where you like, oh, this is a different level. Like as you went up, as you were climbing that ladder in fighting, were you like, oh, okay.
I'd say there was multiple times that happened. Yeah. I've always went out to try to fight high level guys, man. I've never held back. Probably the first time that I remember that happened was when I fought Douglas Lima. Long before the UFC. I don't remember how long before, but he was the first guy that kicked my leg so hard that I felt it from my ass to my toes.
Oh, man.
And I remember the first leg kick he landed. I said, "Oh, this is different than anything I've felt before."
I always wonder, like, within your guys' career, professional fighters, Is there at that point? Is there that like aha moment? Like, oh, okay. Like I need to.
Like I said, there's tons of them. Like later on my career, I fought Ricardo Almeida, and I thought I was a really good grappler until I fought him, and I was like, okay, that's a level of grappling I've never felt before.
Yeah,
sure.
Again, I could give a lot of instances of this, but it's all a learning process.
Yeah, and that's what I think is great about it, because not that you were ever going to quit or walk away from it, but you took the proper information from it, from those fights, those interactions, and you grew who you were as a person and as a fighter. So that's imperative for people to understand that too. Like, this is, again,
because
go ahead.
It would be so easy, because you hear people do it all the time. Like, well, he's not a better guy. He just caught me, right? He's not, I was having a bad day, I got caught, or it's so easy to do that versus what you did and take that and be like, I got to get better here. He is better than me. I see the difference,
And well, I think, we have to be realistic and see that everybody's going to have a spot when you get to that, UFC, top 30 level, 20 level. Everybody has a spot where they're going to be significantly better than you.
Right.
There's just too many variables for you to be that good at everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there will be those spots. So being able to recognize them and figuring out how to neutralize those while implementing your game plan and putting him in those spots where you're that much better. That's what separates the good from the great.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I was always the best at that either. I think one of my biggest weaknesses is I go into other people's strengths, just because I'm just a fucking warrior like that.
Right.
That's what, once the fight starts, that's kind of just what I want to do. I'm like, oh, you want to grapple? All right, let's fucking grapple, bitch.
Right. You're like, here's the menu, you pick. Right. I'm showing up to the table.
And this is where we talk constantly, is particularly passing on that knowledge to my next generation of fighters. Like, this really is a mental game. I don't know how many times I would have performed better or even won fights that I lost had I not had that mentality.
Sure.
I absolutely lost fights that I could have won because I decided that I wanted to test myself. It was like, dude, that's not the time to test yourself. Just beat the guy and go home and get a paycheck,
Right.
Right. You can test at your own academy.
Exactly. I mean, that's why it's truly a mental game.
But you learned that, man. Like, again, look, your younger generation fighters that are coming up that you're training, they're not going to do that stuff. At least you're going to put them in a better position. Not that no one put you in that position, but you're going to put them, you're going to teach them, you know what I mean? Like, this is real. You have that experience.
And that's probably one of the biggest things I try to teach to the younger guys coming up, is how to set the terms of the match, right? Like we fight, like we engage on my terms. We exchange on my terms, right? Like the whole match has to take place on your terms. And when that happens, you set yourself up for a much easier, cleaner path to victory.
It's very similar to you, Chad. Like, you used to tell me, like in jiu-jitsu, like when you're going to roll, because I would get frustrated at times, and he was like, you need to set the tone if that's what you're going to do. Like, you have to set it. Like, you can't let them, because it's too late.
I had an instance this years ago. I had a black belt. I was working with this black belt, and I asked him something about, somebody passing my guard, closed guard. He's like, listen, you open your guard on your terms, not theirs. If you're waiting for them to get their knee up and they have an underhood, it's like, it's way too late, dude. So, you that's perfect way you said that, Matt. It's on your terms.
Yeah, I think a great example of that was Gordon Ryan and Andre Galvao recently, right?
Yeah.
Galvao's best path to victory was probably staying on the feet for as much of the match as possible, right?
Yeah.
And
maybe
wrestling, maybe getting a takedown, whatever. And what did Gordon do? Galvao pushed him, and Gordon just fell over.
Yeah,
he went right to it. Yeah, he just fell over, went right to it.
He wasn't allowed to pull guard. I believe was the the rules of the match.
Yeah, that's ADCC rules, and
you'll get a point deduction or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So rather than doing that, he just, pushed Galvo until Galvo pushed him, and he said, so he gave him the illusion that he was setting the terms when really Gordon was setting the terms and saying, look, okay, push me, and they fell down, didn't get deducted, and now it's
now we're here
on his terms.
Yeah. Then Gordon did what he
does
when he gets down there. Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Man, when you getting back, are you gonna get back in the cage?
I hope so.
Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that, because like I told you earlier, people that might not like it, but it's an inspiration for me personally, just because obviously you're in Ohio. You're an Ohio guy. I consider you an Ohio guy, so I always root for Ohio people.
I'm an Ohio guy. Yeah. Thanks. I hope so. I'm dealing with these injuries right now, and
sure,
we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's good, man. And I know we talked about the ebook with the post that you did yesterday. That ebook, is that ebook out?
No, we just started.
That's one. Okay. All right, cool. And and I apologize, Matt. That's your first ebook, or is this?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So okay.
I have some instructionals out, some DVDs on dynamic striking. I have clinch instruction. I have one clinch instructional. We just filmed the second one, and then we just filmed partner drilling instructional.
Nice.
My plan on doing more of those, but for ebooks, this will be the first one.
Awesome, man.
Cool.
Very cool. Was that a scary experience, or just kind of like, screw it, I'm just all in? Like, you're an all-in guy, I can tell.
The filming the DVDs
or the ebook,
it's not scary at all for me. But the reason it's not scary is because I do take the time to plan it, and it's not like an improvised thing. I sit down, outline things, and put it piece by piece. I do research on things that I don't remember. I look back at my own notes. I have an entire shelf of strength and conditioning books that I've read throughout the years. That's something I think probably a lot of people don't know about me, is I'm extremely well read on strength and conditioning. Like I discuss this stuff with like PhDs and stuff on
nice.
This is something I've been very passionate about for a long time. Not really something I promoted, but like I used to be a personal trainer before I was in the UFC, and it's something I really love, and another addition to my coaching arsenal when I decide to go full-time that route.
That's very cool. When's this ebook dropping, my friend?
Hopefully by next year, I would say.
Okay.
We haven't even set a timeline. Like we literally just started on it. But
okay. I was going to say, is there any way anyone could go out there and get an email or put an email list and say, hey, notify me when this drops?
You know what? I need to do that. That's the part I've always failed at. And every day is my marketing. Because you guys know how it is. It's not enjoyable. It's just something you have to do.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And that's one of the downsides of being a fighter is like everything you do, everything I've done for the last 20 years I've been paid to do what I love. So anytime I have to do something I don't love, I'm kind of like,
procrastinate a little bit.
Yeah,
that's all right. No, and I want to know, like, and obviously, I mean, you're local. I follow you on social media, and now we connected. I'll just email you and be like, hey, where's the book at, man? Stop bothering me, Terry. Like, leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. So, well, hey, man, let's do this. I know a lot of people know how to get to you and everything. Anything you want to tell anyone out there, Matt? We've kept you for a solid hour, man. Anything you would want to tell anyone, promote anything, whatever you want, brother. The time is yours. Obviously, we love to use this platform to educate people in the martial arts world, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, all of it. That's kind of really what we started the podcast for. Chad, do you have anything that you want to ask Matt before I give him let him go?
No, you're good.
Or you could be like, I'm good. Peace.
The only thing maybe to promote would be me and Chad are going to talk about another seminar up at East Coast. So
we'll talk about that. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yep. We'll get you back up.
Yeah. So we'll just promote that, man. We'll stick with that one.
Very cool. Good. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Appreciate you greatly, and everything you're doing, man. God bless you and your family and your kids, and keep doing what you're doing, man. I hope the injuries get the least of you, not the better of you.
I heard that. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, brother. All right, my man. Well, we'll hook up down the road and keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. See you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you, man.
brother.
We'll see you.
Appreciate it.